Hey everybody, Tekking here, and in this video, I don't even know why I'm doing it. I think there's a lot more important stuff I could talk about, but in this video we're going to be discussing the Roger Pirates. Have you even heard of them? I haven't. They've only appeared like, I don't know, 5 or 6 times in the One Piece story, if that. We don't even know how many members are on their crew. The ones that are, we don't even know anything about. They're probably not even going to show up or be relevant. I could be making a video about how Ace got fisted right now, but instead I gotta talk about these Roger Pirates. Oh, and get this. Buggy was a member of this crew. Fucking Buggy, yeah, so you know these guys are real badass, right? Let me remind you, Buggy was the guy that accidentally ate an entire pineapple in one bite. I'm gonna repeat that again. Buggy is a guy that accidentally ate an entire pineapple. Oh shit, I didn't mean to do that. Yeah, so these guys are really gonna be awesome, I'm sure. Yeah, alright, but all the massive amounts of sarcasm aside, the fucking Roger Pirates, guys. The quintessential pirate crew, the apex of pirate crews in One Piece, the best of the best. In fact, it's funny because in the One Piece universe, even the term Jolly Roger, comes from Roger, because he was the greatest pirate in the world, and he conquered the Grand Line, both halves, and managed to be the only pirates to reach Raftel, the legendary island at the end of the New World, managed to unlock all the secrets of the Void Century along the way, had this unique power to hear the voices of all things, and him and his crew gathered together the great treasure of One Piece and left it in that one location on Raftel, and for anybody out there to find, who nobody has found that yet, and that is the goal of Luffy, and of course, as well as with Big Mom and all the other, major pirates in the world. Not everyone, but most of them want to get the One Piece and kind of follow in Roger's footsteps, and he set the bar pretty damn high. So in this video, we're not going to be talking about Roger or any of the crew members specifically, because I'm going to do discussion videos all about them. There's going to be a discussion video about Roger, discussion video about Rayleigh and Krokus and all those guys. So in this one, though, we're just going to look into pretty much everything that we currently know about the Roger pirate crews, so we can prepare ourselves later on. You know what the great thing is? One of those great things about One Piece is that Oda tends to always explain things in flashbacks at one point. Like characters like, oh man, I can't wait to hear this character's backstory. Oda's somebody that always delivers on that. So for a fact at some point in this story, could be years from now, but we're going to get like a flashback arc with like Roger being the main character, and we're going to get to see major events through his eyes and his crew, and I can't wait for that. So this is like a preparation for what we know so far. Okay, so let's just start with the captain, Gol D. Roger. He was referred to by the government as Gold Roger, was sort of his pirate name, sort of how it's like Luffy is Straw Hat, and Zoro is the pirate hunter. Gol D. Roger was just Gold Roger. Weren't really a lot of imaginative thinkers in the Marines back then, so they just like combined his name together there, and yeah, that's the thing there. Of course, the relevance with, you might be thinking, what's the difference there if you're not really a big One Piece fan, but of course the relevance there is there's a D in his name, and we know in One Piece it's all about the D. The naming scheme on Roger's crew seems to be like a lot of characters named after rare metals. So he is gold, which is referred to as like one of the, honestly, it's not really all that, like effective in battle or something, because gold is rather soft compared to other metals, but in like the Olympics, the gold medal, first place, you get the golden trophy. It's a big deal. Gold is of course the thing that's always trying to get pirates are always trying to get their hands on. Okay, so he's the most valuable, so he is the captain. In terms of just his character really quick, Shanks described him as a very bold man, sometimes to a fault, to the point where he didn't like to shy away from a challenge, as we saw with his battle at the War, when he was fighting Shiki, the Golden Lion, and these huge giant fleet of pirate ships ganging up on him and his crew, and Roger was very much like Shanks, or I guess I should say Shanks is very much like Roger. They don't have like an entire fleet of ships at their command like Whitebeard or Big Mom or Kaido. It's like one ship he has called the Oro Jackson, and it's the same with Shanks. Shanks has like one pirate ship with like a crew of maybe, I don't know, 100 tops, but it's like you don't fuck with them. Kind of the same thing with Roger's crew, okay? So he has the one ship, Oro Jackson. There's an entire fleet of freaking ships, and Rogers just pulls out the fucking cutlass, and he's like, yes, me hearties, let's go into battle. So, very bold man, doesn't like to shy away from a challenge, though Shanks described this as like, well, I kind of wish sometimes he would have been not that bold, sometimes he would have run away, sometimes he would have showed his emotions, but the stereotypical kind of like masculine figure of like the pirate days, this is the ideal apex of masculinity, Gol D. Roger. There's that. You could have a debate, and we'll wait until the discussion video on that, but you could have a debate for days about his power. I mean, if he had a devil fruit, if it was Luffy's Gamu Gamu no Mi, and it was passed down through that, or, you know, like spiritually, like he had the Gum Gum power, and he was king of the pirates, and now Luffy has it, and he's the king of the pirates, and there's a little bit of way you can look at that, because Shanks had the Gum Gum fruit when Luffy ate it, so you could go with that, or if he, you know, you can talk about his ability to, you know, hear the voices of all things. I made a video about that, but that's not this video. So go ahead in the comments. You want to talk about what ability Roger had, if any. I personally like to just think he was a badass, you know, kind of the same thing with Shanks. Like, Shanks does not need a devil fruit to be badass. Roger does not need a devil fruit to be badass. Rayleigh is a badass, and he's confirmed to not have a devil fruit. That makes it cooler. Like, they didn't rely on these powers, you know, or rather, they can beat the shit out of other people that do have powers. That's the cool thing. You know, same thing with Garp. Garp was running around chasing Roger and his crew. So, damn, son. But yeah, that's Roger right there. Going next to his first mate, his vice captain, the kind of the master of like the ship's duties, ordering people around and everything like that, because Roger was very much like Luffy. Not exactly, but Roger was more of a carefree kind of guy. Rayleigh was kind of the one that ordered people around, kind of kept a tight ship. And Rayleigh's Silver's Rayleigh. And, of course, Silver being the next metal down, so he's like, yeah, there, you see where they're going with this. I'm mentioning this because there's another character that we don't know much about coming up, and it follows a similar scheme. But, yeah, so Silver's Rayleigh is the one member of Roger's crew that's actually shown up the most and has had the most influence on the story, I guess I should say. That's still currently living, because you can argue that Roger's entire existence, you know, execution, King of the Pirates, that sets the whole plot train of One Piece, the actual story, in motion. But Rayleigh's actually appeared, you know, and met the Straw Hats and actually helped them out on more than one occasion. So, yeah, we first see Rayleigh really early on in the story, though, when he's, during Buggy's flashback, when he's remembering his time on the ship, and you see this guy, Rayleigh, there. This is like chapter 19, that Oda already had this planned out, you know, who he was going to be and everything like that. So after the events of, you know, him, you know, them reaching Raftul and the One Piece, the Roger Pirates break up, and Rayleigh and Roger go their separate ways. But you can tell that Roger certainly did, like, heavily admire the man. In fact, they were like best friends. They were like thicker than thieves between them, because even when Rayleigh's sitting around with the Straw Hats remembering Roger and talking about him, he has like a little tear in his eye, just like, oh, those were the good times there, you know, and he died, and now the old guard is left, and we're just looking to the future generation and all that shit, trying to find someone to carry on Roger's legacy. And that's why Rayleigh was so interested in Luffy. Let's see here. So after they separate, Rayleigh was not present during Roger's execution, by the way. But he hangs out on Sabaody with his wife, Shaki. They're married. Go look it up. Okay, it's never directly said that Shaki and Rayleigh are married, but Shaki, the way she refers to Rayleigh in Japanese, is like person of my household. Like, that's the honorific that Shaki says to Rayleigh. That's only used usually, like most of the time, when it comes to a married couple. So they're probably hitched. I mean, would it really surprise you? I mean, hey, come on now, Rayleigh. Damn, Rayleigh. Okay, I'm sorry. But yeah, so the Straw Hats meet him on Sabaody. He's a ship coating mechanic, so he's the one that coats the Sunny to go down into Fishman Island. He also helps them out by helping them with their fight with Kizaru. So Kizaru's an admiral, he shows up. Rayleigh shows up to fend off Kizaru, so even in his old age, he's still a fucking badass. He fights with a sword, doesn't have a devil fruit power, really good with hockey. After everyone gets sent flying by Kuma, Rayleigh eventually tracks down Luffy's location on Amazon Lily, and he's responsible for training him for the past 2 years in the basics of hockey. So that's Rayleigh. I really want to go on and on about Rayleigh because he's such a badass, but like I said, you got to get to other characters, and we'll have a discussion video for him. But one thing I would like to bring up that I would really like to hear you guys' opinion on, Rayleigh's his not epitaph, because he's not dead, but his his nickname by the government, his pirate name, Dark King Silver's Rayleigh. What the fuck do you think that alludes to? Because Dark King, that sounds like a rather cliche title. Like, that's something like, I could imagine myself playing, like, Nintendo in, like, 1990. I wasn't alive then, but, you know, like, some really old Nintendo game, like, now you must face the Dark King. I'm like, oh, that's lame. So Dark King, like, where does that go? It could mean like any number of things. I'm just interested how he actually got that name, you know? Because it's kind of badass if the government's gonna go out of their way to name him that, you know? Yeah, so that's Rayleigh. That's Rayleigh. Just simple badass vice captain, you know, the right arm of the Pirate King. Okay. Next up, we have this guy. Now, this guy hasn't actually showed up in the story, in the present storyline. This is Scopper Gabon. Scopper, as in copper. So, the general consensus is this is the third strongest member on Roger's crew, because gold, silver, copper. And I was like, okay, wait a second. I always thought it was gold, silver, bronze, as if we're going with, like, Olympic medals. Looking into it a little bit more, bronze and copper seem rather interchangeable. In fact, in the Olympic Games for some time, they actually used the bronze medal were actually made out of copper. So I don't think it's that big of a difference, although considering that's the naming scheme here, and Oda's probably not an idiot, there probably is going to be a character on the Roger crew revealed at some point that probably is named after the bronze medal. You know, I would like to think, but for right now, all we got is Scopper Gabon. This guy here with the cool shades and the ponytail and the fucking, he fights with an axe, I guess. Just seems like a really powerful dude, and there's really nothing more for me to talk about with him. He appeared in the flashback at Ed War, fighting against Shiki, as well as in Buggy's flashback way back when. So this is obviously a character that Oda also planned out, along with Rayleigh. You know, and the thing is, the great thing about the Roger Pirates is many of them could still be very much alive in the world and could very much run into the Straw Hats, and then that could give us some more exposition along the way. Even Rayleigh mentioned he had no idea where all they went. You know, I don't even know where they are, really. He had no idea where Buggy ended up. He knew where Shanks was, because Shanks actually met him on Sabaody, and of course Shanks is a Yonko now, so he knows about him, but, you know, and Krokus, I think they actually had to tell him about Krokus. Like, yeah, Krokus is still alive, he's at the Twin Capes, and Rayleigh was surprised by that. So I don't know what's up with Scopper, but he's obviously somebody that Oda planned out a while back, so he's obviously going to be relevant somewhere. I hope he's still alive. I hope we get to meet him. Is he the third strongest member on the Roger crew? Probably. I would say probably. From right now, from what we know of, considering he's been revealed already and he's had him planned out so way back when. But, you know, maybe there's other characters on the crew that are named after, like, you know, bronze or, like, other metals. I want somebody named after zinc, because zinc is awesome. It has a Z in it. Funny story. So you have a penny, right? Pennies that are made of copper are actually mostly zinc. So that's just a random trivia note that I had that I never thought I would bring up, but here we are. Okay, next is Krokus. Okay, now listen. It's important to mention that before we continue on, because like we had like 3 named after like metals, and then we get to Krokus, who's named after a flower. So what's up with the naming schemes here? The Roger Pirates were like notorious even before they did their epic journey to the end of the Grand Line and with the One Piece and, you know, that whole shit. Roger was journeying for years before this. In fact, Brook even mentioned, you know, like back, you know, 50-something years before the present storyline, Brook was like, oh yeah, the Gold Roger, I believe there was a rookie back in the day. So, you know, Roger was executed 24 years ago before the present storyline, but he was adventuring like a decade or so, even longer before that, like going on, he was making a name for himself as this notorious pirate. So, during the last journey, though, the last journeys, so this was about, you know, 24, 25 years ago when they actually got to the end of the Grand Line, Roger came down with a serious illness, and he had to bring Krokus onto his crew in order to be his doctor and alleviate his suffering. Krokus being this amazing doctor. Still is. He's still alive. So with that being the case, you know, that's why Krokus' name doesn't follow, and Krokus was not part of the pirate crew for most of their adventures, and that might be also why the government's not, like, really trying to find Krokus, because the guy, the random old man with the giant whale at the lighthouse at the end of the Grand Line, I think would be rather conspicuous, but maybe the Marines just didn't know about Krokus, you know, because he wasn't like he fought in the Ed War. We saw him there with like a harpoon getting ready, but maybe he wasn't like a frontline fighter. Marines didn't really know about him that much. We just don't know that. So yeah, that's Krokus. He journeyed with them for those last few years there on Gol D Roger's crew to alleviate his suffering. Made it so he knows, he's been to Raftel, he knows where the One Piece is, he knows what it is and everything like that. But afterwards he returned to the Twin Capes, and the whole reason he went with the Roger Pirates is to find out what happened to Yorkie. And if Yorkie's still alive or not, we could have a whole other discussion on that. That's another video altogether. I'm creating so many tangential video paths here. But yeah, Krokus, really badass guy. You know, he fought. If you could be on the Pirate King's crew, you're gonna be a badass mofo, even if you're just the Doctor. Okay, so that's pretty neat there. Also, we saw that cover page with Krokus hanging out on the Twin Capes after the time skip, drinking with somebody. I wonder who that could be. Could it be Odin? Because Odin was also a member of the Pirate King's crew. This is Odin Kozuki, who's the daimyo of Wano, and from what we found out, he was like the master of Momonosuke. Well, Momonosuke was his son. He's the heir, but then you also have Kinemon and Kanjuro and Raizo, who were their like retainers. And from right now in the story, from what we know, from what has been said, Odin has been killed by Kaido and the Shogun of Wano allying together, and now it's up to Raizo, Kinemon, Kanjuro to kind of like, you know, open the borders of Wano and fulfill Odin's wish and dethrone, you know, the Shogun and get him out of there and defeat Kaido. Now, we haven't actually seen if Odin died or not, and I made a whole video about that. That's all prepped and ready to go if you want to go check that out. But I was under the impression this character right here is in fact Kozuki Odin. We did not see Odin die. All we heard was like Kinemon and Momonosuke remembering like his like what was being said when he was supposedly killed, but we didn't get an image or even a silhouette of anything. So that can mean any number of things. I haven't seen a body yet. I'm not going to say that he's dead yet. So, and seeing Krokus just hanging out, having a cup of sake with an old friend, that seems fine with me. I mean, there's a little bit of discrepancies there, like how would Odin go from Wano, which is in the New World, all the way over to the Twin Capes, and if he was still going to be relevant in the story, he'd have to make it all the way back to Wano. I have no idea. That's a little bit discrepancy. It's not an ironclad theory, but yeah. And Odin did journey with the Roger Pirates. Also, he also knows where Raftel is. This is important to clarify because not every member on the crew knows where the One Piece is located, such as Inurashi and Nekomamushi. They journeyed with the Roger Pirates for a little while. I believe they were also on Whitebeard's crew for a time, and they were good friends while on the ship, and they remember the days of high adventure when the cat and dog were journeying the New World. But they were not with Roger during that epic final journey there, but they were on his crew at some point and were very well respected by their crewmates, as well as Shanks and Buggy. Now, Shanks and Buggy are interesting. Shanks and Buggy were referred to as cabin boys. So they were basically, a cabin boy on a normal vessel is just, it is like, yeah, cabin boy, you know, swab the deck, you know, bring me my ale, you know, shit like that, just running chores. But like I said, you don't get to be on the King of the Pirates ship without learning how to fight. Alright, so even if you're just a cabin boy on the King of Pirates ship, you can fucking protect yourself. So, Buggy and Shanks were capable of fighting, and they fought against the Whitebeards and the Shiki's crew many times. Whitebeard even mentioned, like, I fought, you know, against the Roger Pirates so many times, I started to remember the faces of his crew, even the cabin boys I used to remember, and that was Buggy. So, I mean, Buggy, at least give him this much, he was clever enough, or strong enough, or just plain fucking lucky enough to not die when fighting the Whitebeard pirates and the fucking Shiki pirates, I mean the Golden Lion pirates, over and over and over again while he was on Roger's crew, and this is when they were like teenagers. So, probably luck, I would assume, because Buggy has just, like, astronomically high luck, you know, but that's something interesting there. I would have liked to hear the story about how Shanks and Buggy, like, how they joined the Roger Pirates, you know, how Roger, you know, accepted them onto the crew. I'm sure there's a story there, if, like, they knew each other beforehand or something. Also, it's important to note that Shanks got his straw hat from Roger's. So that was like Roger's original straw hat. Roger probably saw something in Shanks, like very similar to what Shanks saw in Luffy, like, you'll carry on this generation, and Roger gave off his straw hat to Shanks, and then Shanks eventually handed it off to Luffy. So I'm gonna do a video about the straw hat too. Man, god damn it. I'm not even making this shit up as I go. I seriously have this shit planned already. It's just that ideas just keep popping in my head. Oh yeah, I remember, I'm supposed to do that too. But I do not think Shanks and Buggy were around during when they went to Raftel. If that was the case, you think Buggy would try to spend all of his time getting back to Raftel. But instead, Buggy's busy looking for other treasures like Captain John's treasure. You think if Buggy knew where the One Piece was, he's like, okay, I know how to get there, and nobody else does. Shanks and Buggy were well known by the government, though. Shanks more so because he became a Yonko. Buggy kind of laid under the radar, but after the events of Impel Down, the government found out about Buggy being being a part of the crew. So that's something very notable about the Roger Pirates. Like, the government, even if it's been 20-something years, if the government finds anybody that's even vaguely connected to the Roger Pirates, they gotta bring them in just out of principle, you know, because they're the ones that kind of, you know, one-up the government, you know, day after day, you know, and manage to get to Raftel and hide this great treasure that even the government can't get their hands on. So, you know, after they found out Buggy was a member of Roger's crew, they had to do something with him. They eventually drafted him into the warlords to help him, you know, help the government out, right? But otherwise, they would have just hunted him down and killed him. So I think Buggy made the right move. If Buggy would have refused that invitation, it wouldn't have been good for him. He pretty much had no choice but to join the warlords. But yeah, there's one more character regarding the Roger Pirates, and he's just this guy, and his name is Siegel. And honestly, I found out this guy through the wiki, because I didn't even know this guy was named. But yeah, he is a named character. I don't know what his name is after, like Jonathan Livingston Siegel. I don't know, but yeah, he's a big guy with a bald head, kind of misshapen. I don't know if he's going to be relevant. He kind of reminds me of, not in terms of appearance, but of like another member that's really obscure on Shanks' crew, Rockstar. Rockstar shows up and just never shows up again. And this guy, Siegel, he's just there in the Battle of Ed Wood. Or is it Ed Wood or Ed War? No, Ed Wood is like a famous, horrible movie director from like the 1950s. I don't know what I'm thinking of. Yeah, Ed War. And, yeah, he doesn't really show up that much. This is certainly, I don't think, a character that, you know, Oda had planned, like, years in advance. He just seems like somebody that was thrown in there. But he was named. So, there he is. Just for the sake of completion, there's Siegel. Yeah. Okay, so, one more thing to talk about before we go, and that is the ship. The Oro Jackson, the greatest pirate ship to ever sail the seven seas. Hold on, 7 seas in One Piece? Hold on. North Blue, South Blue, West Blue, East Blue, Paradise... Grand Line, Paradise, New World. There's only 6. Oh no, wait, the calm belt. Well, there technically are like 4 calm belts. We'll just like group all the calm belts together. 7 seas, yeah. The Oro Jackson was built by Tom at Water 7. Tom is an example of somebody that was not a member of the Roger crew, but he was like an ally of them, and he was somebody that was very well respected by the crew and that they still liked him. And he was a very vital aid to them in their time of need, building them a great pirate ship. The Oro Jackson is made out of atom wood, which is the same material that's made that Frankie used to make the Thousand Sunny. So it's a very durable kind of ship, and I'm under the impression, a lot of people have been throwing out ideas like maybe the Oro Jackson is Pluton, the ancient weapon. I debunk that because that's, you know, Tom did have the blueprints at the time, but those blueprints were handed down from, like, you know, era after era, generation from the shipwrights in Water 7 to, like, it's like, this is a absolute last-ditch, you know, effort. If the ancient weapon is ever revived, use these to make a similar weapon. And I don't think Tom would have been like, oh, okay, well, this is supposed to be used only in times of great emergency when the ancient weapon is revived. But you did tell me you want a kick-ass pirate ship, Roger, so let me build this. I don't think that's the case. I do think, though, that when the Straw Hats do reach the One Piece, or when the One Piece is discovered, I feel like the Oro Jackson would be part of that. I feel like that. Okay, look, the way I'm imagining this is this big, huge, cavernous room that's like, you know, has like part of like the ocean, like a stream running through it, and like all this treasure is in it. That's the way I'm picturing the One Piece. Not everything, that's not all it is, but I would imagine a huge amount of treasure. Like all of the booty that Roger gathered is just there, so a physical reward and just a sheer amount of money. And also the Oro Jackson would also be there. I know there's kind of issues with that, like, well, if the Oro Jackson is on Raftel, then how did the Roger Pirates get off Raftel? That's another, they could have another ship, I don't know, I'm just throwing out ideas. But where is it? That's a legitimate question. I don't think it was just like, okay, well, let's just disassemble it. I'm sure it's resting somewhere. The Oro Jackson's gonna be found at some point, and it's made out of atom wood, so it's not like it probably wouldn't decay as much as like a normal ship would. So even after 20-something years, it probably looks pretty good. Maybe there's somebody looking after, maybe there's like a guardian of the One Piece. You ever think about that, huh? Maybe that's where Scopper's gonna come in. He's the guy that's in charge of hanging out on Raftel, just chilling out, guarding the One Piece. I don't fucking know. I'm just throwing ideas out there. But yeah, it's certainly a very impressive ship that is made it all the way to the end of the Grand Line, which is the same thing that the Sunny is made out of, so I have no doubt in my mind the Sunny is going to make that journey as well. Okay, but that's pretty much everything that we know about the Roger Pirates. There's the different members, their confrontations with the Whitebeard Pirates and the Golden Lion Pirates run by Shiki there, Garp chasing them down. Garp is actually the one that Roger turned himself in, but Garp was the one that actually got the credit from the Marines. So that's why the whole world regards Garp as this great Marine hero. That's the reason, because he's the one that got the credit for bringing in the King of the Pirates. And Garp and Roger, they traded blows several times, although even up till the end, Roger was the one that asked Garp to take care of his son. Yeah, so, I mean, once again, they were enemies, but they were like comrades in arms. It was like, come on, Garp, we're pals, right? Like, we tried to kill each other like 36 times before last week, what the hell? Like, yeah, but take after my kid, would you? So that was neat. And then there's I guess Porcus D Rogue, but I don't think there's really a point of mentioning her right now. I'll get more into Rogue when we talk about Roger specifically. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you talk a lot about some stuff like Roger's powers, Rayleigh's Monikir. I'm trying to think of the term to use here for Rayleigh's nickname. His Dark King, Scopper, what the fuck's up with him, and just general discussions about the Roger crew in general, about Shanks, Buggy, and all those people. So let me know below what you think. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. This will be Tekking101 signing out, me hearties. Yarg. Although, I do like the voices every time whoever voices Roger in the anime always does a good job. Like, even the 4Kids dub, which is horrible. I have a whole series about that. At least got Roger's voice pretty fucking good. You got to admit that. And then, even in the Funimation dub, I would even say the 4Kids dub's a little better than the Funimation dub, but the Funimation dub basically gave him, like, this typical pirate-sounding voice, He doesn't go around saying, Yarg, me hearty, shibby me timbers, but at least he talks like a pirate, there. So that was cool. It's kind of hard to fuck up Roger, Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoyed. Signing out, everyone.